Welcome to another episode of Sisters in Service. I am your host, Kat Corchado. And today we have in our episode, my guest is Tamara-Sloper-Harding. She's from Australia. And so what you guys don't know is I'm doing a 3-part series with Sisters in Service Down Under. And so Tamara, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Kat. It's pretty exciting to be talking to you from here in Australia and telling you a bit about my story. It'll be really good.
Yes, it's your bio was just amazing. You know, wait till you guys hear what she does. It's just amazing what she's doing over there. So Tamara, tell us a little bit about your service. You're a Navy veteran, correct?
Yeah, I was in the Navy for almost 19 years and served in a lot of different places, spent some time at sea, but the highlight was actually some time I spent on the ground in East Timor in 1999. And I did work with Americans over there too. I couldn't have done my job without some Marines that were working with me.
Did you choose the Navy or did the Navy choose you?
I think the Navy chose me in a way because my family has such a long history in the Navy. My dad was in the Navy for a very long time and my grandfather. So I grew up with being a Navy child and lots of postings everywhere. Lots of schools. So it was kind of in the blood a bit. But back when I was a kid, there weren't that many females in the military. So for a long time, it was sort of out of my scope of thought until I was a teenager. And I sort of thought, well, maybe this is something I can do, a way I can contribute to the community and the world with service.
Exactly. Now, your dad was a Royal Australian naval officer, and so are you, correct?
Yeah, that's right.
Like father, like daughter. I love it. No, it's really cool because my dad was retired Air Force and I'm retired Air Force, so I won't say that I went in because my dad went in, but I decided to stay in my lane because I almost went in the Navy. And I said, no, let me just stick with what I know. So that's very cool.
It does get in your blood, I think.
It does. So what was your job in the Navy? What did you do?
I was an intelligence officer. So just basically lots of analysis and a lot of research and writing as well.
Mm-hmm. Did you enjoy it or was it just?
I loved it. No, I really loved it. I mean, like any job, any lifestyle, it had ups and downs and difficult times.
Oh, sure.
But every challenge seemed to come for a reason and something good came out of that in the end, whether it was for me or for someone else. There seemed to be a purpose to everything that happened in my career. I did love it, but once I got married and had 4 children, it became too hard. And I'm still in the Navy Reserve, so I've got the option of going back. But life's a little bit hectic now to fit in trips away. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially right now. When I retired from the Air Force, they said, oh, you're going to go in the inactive reserve for 10 years. And I was like, good luck calling me back. One, I'm not sure I'd fit in my uniform, and 2,
Yeah, that's one issue. And I had we had our kids fairly close together because I had this delusional idea that the less time off work I had, and the quicker I'd get back to work if I had them all within 4.5 years. So that was absolutely insane because being a mum at home is just as hard in a different way as being deployed on an operation.
Right. Well, it's so hard. Okay. Being a mother, and I'm going to say this is just me, to date has been the hardest job I've ever had.
Yeah, I agree.
Ever.
I agree.
Okay. Yeah. Now you have a woman in uniform. Okay. She's doing that job. Then this woman goes home, takes the uniform off and has to be, as my mother say, chief cook and bottle washer, at home. So you have job, and it doesn't stop. So, for those women that are holding down the fort, doing, those jobs in the military and jobs at home, being that mom and everything else, I feel you. I've been there, done that. So I was a single parent in the Air Force. So it was very, very difficult.
Well, that would have been a challenge. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. When people say, how many kids do you have? I go, 1. They go, really? Only 1? I go, yes.
That would be enough.
That was enough. I can't. So when you got out, Tamara, how was your transition? Was it difficult? Was it easy? What were some of the ups and downs of your transition?
I did find the transition a real challenge because there was no real end because I'd gone on maternity leave and then long service leave, having the kids. There was no final day and farewell and goodbye or anything like that. Just kind of I drifted off. And I found it quite difficult because my husband's army. And so we had trouble when we were both in getting posted to the same locality.
Oh, I
So
bet.
while I was on mat leave, I got to go with him, thinking, oh, at least we'll be together. So we moved up to Brisbane. We were living in a married patch on the base. And I found that really hard as a partner. I was still in the Navy at that stage, but the transition was beginning because it was quite isolating. I didn't have anything in common with the other women on the bay, like in the married patch, like all the spouses. I just felt I'd served with a lot of their husbands. So it was
Right.
really lonely. And then when my kids started school, I found I didn't have a lot in common with the other school mums. I didn't know what to talk about. My life, the context of everything was so different
Yes.
to theirs. And I think my world had been changed so much because of my experiences overseas that it made some of the first world problems that we all face here at home, it was a little bit hard for me to understand what was going on in their lives. And I really couldn't talk to them about what my life had been like. And having the kids, my PTSD started to kick in once my children started school. So I'd sort of held it at bay. I was in a bit of a bubble for all that time. But then an incident with one of my children, which was very minor, was enough to trigger it. And I thought at first I was just being a really over-anxious mum. I thought all mums must be like that. But no, it turned out to be a symptom of PTSD. So that
Oh,
made it doubly
gosh.
hard. And there's no way I could talk to my civilian friends about that. And they'd wonder why I didn't take my 4 kids down to the beach and just let them run wild. But I couldn't handle that type of thing
Oh,
at that
right.
stage. Yeah, so it was really difficult. It's
Well,
still not
I
great.
hear you about that. The same but different, being a single parent at a very young age, my friends were out partying on Friday and I was home making sure that, my kid was eating right and doing so. It's hard to talk to other people about, it when they're talking about, oh, did you know what happened at the club on this day? Like, I don't care.
Yeah,
You don't
yeah,
speak on
yeah.
the same things. And then even when you get out of the military and you're speaking with civilians, about what you did, and they just seem they're like, oh, nice, like they
Yeah,
don't get it.
yeah, yeah.
They don't understand. So I totally understand how you felt like you were on your own little island because, the
Mm.
moms are talking about whatever they're talking about. And then the school moms are talking about something and you're like, seriously, we've got these problems over here and you guys are talking about, something that just seems very trivial, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
And it wasn't that I didn't appreciate the challenges every other mum
oh,
faces,
sure.
but when you've been to places where mothers and babies are starving and surviving through war, and to talk about breaking a fingernail seems really, it kind of grates on me a little bit when there's mothers who are sort of losing their kids
Mhm.
to militia in the jungle and all this kind of stuff. I just find it really hard sometimes to maintain equilibrium and to be patient and understanding. So I
Yeah.
think people probably find me a bit of a challenge to be around as well. So
Well, it's hard to go from being in charge of millions of dollars of assets in people and equipment. And then you go to a civilian organization and someone gets upset because the presentation isn't in the right format or in the right color or whatever. And you're
yeah,
like, seriously?
yeah.
You know,
Or
it's
too many
just,
people. We had one when my kids were at the preschool and a couple of ladies made cupcakes that looked very similar. And I was
Mhm.
just thinking, how can we all be arguing about this? This is just insane.
Right.
But in I had to sort of remind myself in the scope of what we're doing here at home. That was a big deal, and everyone had put in a lot of effort. And just because we didn't have people shooting at us, it was still a fairly serious thing.
So you just had to take a lot of deep breaths, right?
Yeah. And so it's really more about me not understanding real life, I think.
Yeah. So did you know that you had PTSD, or did someone have to tell you? And if so, in either case, what did you do about your diagnosis of PTSD?
Well, my GP told me he thought I did. I'd gone to him about something else to do with someone else that needed help, because I sort of volunteer a little bit in the veteran space, helping other veterans. So back then and now, I keep myself really busy with volunteer jobs to keep my mind active, I think, is part of it, but also to contribute, so I still feel valuable. But so I was seeing my GP about someone else, and he said to me, "And what about you? When are you going to come and talk to me about what's going on with you?" And I said, "Oh, I don't have time to do anything about me. I've got four kids under 5. I'm just really busy. I don't have time. There's nothing wrong with me." But it wasn't until I had this big pram, a triple pram that 3 of the kids could fit in, and the 4th one would be on a skateboard at the back. And I was just walking down the main road in the morning and a car backfired, like the classic story. And I sort of jumped and cars stopped to see if I was all right, because it looked like I tripped over or something like that. But it was more that that sort of was a real sign that there was something wrong with me, because my reflexes and everything to sudden sounds. And I think the thing that upset me the most was that in my mind, I wasn't there with the pram. So I didn't do anything to save the children or protect the children or anything. I just sort of jumped out of the way. And that's when the GP said to me, "But in your mind, the children, you didn't have children. You were back in East Timor again." And so about then I started to think, oh yeah, there's something. And he helped me through Veterans Affairs find some help. And it's been a really long journey. And like all your veterans over there in the US, there's a lot of challenges for veterans here in Australia at the moment, and a lot of shortfalls, not enough services within easy access. But I still find that I'm more ready to help everybody else than sort out my own stuff, really.
I know. I think we're all a little like that too.
Yeah. So it makes life really difficult a lot of the time. But volunteering and helping out other people is helping me. In a way, because a lot of my PTSD comes from leaving a job unfinished at the end of my deployment, having to come home when I could see there was so much to be done in East Timor, where I was. And the guilt I felt about that contributed to PTSD. So now, apart from this COVID times, I usually go back to East Timor a couple of times a year as a volunteer and work with locals in the village. And that actually makes me feel more balanced and better, and like I'm still of value. So that helps with my PTSD. And people say to me, "Oh, it's so great that you go and do this." And I think, well, it's actually helping me probably more than I'm helping those people over there. So that's really good. But just, I mean, like any veteran that you talk to about PTSD, it's part of your daily life in different ways. And my girlfriends are really great. Like, they get used to where I need to sit in a particular seat at the coffee shop when we meet for coffee. And if someone's already sitting there, they'll get up and move when they see me coming, which I just think they're great. I mean, they're a group of civilian mums who really are trying to understand what it's like for me in my head a lot of the time. And
they give you grace. They're like, okay, we get it. They understand. And that's awesome. So for those of you in the United States listening, a GP is a general practitioner, correct?
Yes.
And a pram is a baby carriage. And the only reason I know that is my mom is Welsh. And if you said, "Oh, you had the best pram ever," and my husband would be like, "What is she talking about?" So a pram is a baby carriage, just so you guys know. And also for PTSD, I didn't suffer it from it, but I always feel like PTSD just rubs me the wrong way. because disorder to me means that you were responsible in somehow in what happened in what's happening. And so I like to call it PTS, because you're not responsible for your PTS. Something happened that triggered something in you that happened. So without that happening, you wouldn't have PTS. So for all you doctors out there that are going to get mad at me, I'm sorry. I cannot call it PTSD. And I'm off my soapbox. So
there's a big push. I think over here too, there's a big push to drop the D as well, because it's sort of if you experience something traumatic or witness something like in a war, you'll never be the same again. And it's not something you've created for yourself.
Now, I noticed that you went to Hawaii. Did you go with your dad? Did you go with your husband? And how did you like Hawaii?
I was very lucky as a child. My dad was posted over there. So he was part of the team that organised the first RIMPAC back in the 70s. So we lived over there for a couple of years, but then I was part of RIMPAC as well in 2000. So I was posted on to USS Coronado for that exercise. And so we spent a lot of time in Hawaii then.
Did you like it?
I loved it. Actually, I'm going through a bit of a Hawaii phase at the moment and binge watching Hawaii Five-0 just to see the scenery. My kids saying, why are you watching that show all the time? I said, I'm not actually really watching it. I just need to see places that I used to go. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, the things that we do. Tell us about what you did in East Timor. Now, you write in your bio that, you were exposed to the sufferings of the population there. Tell us what your most vivid memory is and how it made you want to be even more involved.
Well, I don't know if people in the US are really aware of how close East Timor is to Australia. It's very close to Darwin, only half an hour's flight, really. And we grew up here not even knowing that. And the history there, they were sort of settled by the Portuguese for 400 years. Then they were given their freedom in the 1970s, had a couple of days of independence, and then were invaded by Indonesia. And then they had 24 years of occupation that was quite brutal. Over 200,000 Timorese people died during that time. So in 1999, they had the chance to have a referendum about independence. And you could tell as an onlooker it wasn't going very well, and it was being very manipulated. So a lot of violence broke out. And that's when I first started to hear about what was happening on this little beautiful island just near us. And I had a feeling we might be sent over there to do something, but it was all very uncertain. And so I was getting married in the September of that year. And it was actually during our wedding reception that I got a phone call telling me I had to deploy.
Oh, so my gosh. Talk about bad timing.
It was amazing timing. But the most amazing thing about it was that the photographer managed to catch the photo of me handing the phone to my husband, to my brand new husband of a few hours.
Oh, my goodness.
But so I think I was living in a different world. I just had that, like any new bride, all the months of planning, and then all of a sudden I was thrust into this tropical island that was absolutely devastated. Everything was on fire in the capital city when we arrived, and there weren't very many men around in the city because most of them had been killed, but just the poverty and the anguish in the faces of the women particularly, and I'd spent a lot of time with local women, and hearing their stories about what they'd gone through, watching their daughters dragged off by the militia and being raped in front of them, or them being themselves attacked in front of their children. The violence was incredible. And you couldn't be anywhere in that country without seeing the effects that it had on the community. I mean, most villages had been razed to the ground. So it was just horrific, even to the point of water contamination. All the wells that had dead bodies stuffed into them, and it was a really horrendous thing for families over there to be going through, and to still come through it in a resilient, positive way. They're an amazing people in East Timor, and I learnt so much from them, from their faith, their resilience, and their strength to just keep going. But I don't think you can ever get over seeing something like that. But it wasn't until I had my kids that I really understood what it would feel like to those mothers to have had their children go through that and not have any power to stop it, and just try and survive each day. So having the children really was a big impact on me, thinking back to the conversations I'd had with mothers as they held their starving babies and all that sort of stuff.
Yes.
And I think that's also kind of what triggered the PTS. I'm leaving out the D now.
All right, we're too strong. Who's with us? So how was it, you go over there, you see that type of devastation, and then you come back home. How was that re-entry? I mean, how do you get back to your life after seeing something like that?
I don't think you ever really can. I applied to have an extension of time over there because after the first few weeks, I kind of got into the groove of it and it became my reality. And it seemed to be such a bigger thing than anything I was doing at home. So I wanted to stay. But because it was the first real operation we'd been involved in for a while, there were lots and lots of Australians wanting to do their few months over there. So, and I had other jobs I had to come back to, so I wasn't allowed to stay, but I didn't want to leave. And coming back and just going to the office the next week, like giving back the weapon, was just, and turning up for work, sitting at a desk, was just bizarre.
Yeah.
And nobody there really understood. Like there'd be people joking, saying, "How was your holiday?" And the tropical island was fun. Have you got any photos? And I
you're
just,
like, are you kidding me?
yeah. And I didn't return with a group. I didn't return with a group of guys that I'd served with or anything. We were kind of all drawn in from separate areas. So I sort of came back alone and didn't have that sense of being part of that group of people who'd been through something quite historic and important. And it was just really lonely, and I couldn't relate to people at all anymore. And it was just strange to walk around without a weapon. And, my husband did complain about my language, what my language was like, because it did deteriorate while I was deployed, which seems to be one of those problems. And he said he couldn't get over the way I was speaking, but it was just that sort of language we'd all fallen into when we were living in close quarters. It was,
you go into kind of a survival mode. You almost have to go into, the only thing I can relate to is when I went to Korea by myself and for a whole year, and you kind of put yourself in this protective bubble. Okay. And then you come home, but you're still in the bubble and everyone's talking to you, but you don't hear anything. And they're like, what's wrong with you? But I mean, that's the only way I could relate to it. But I mean, I can't even imagine the things that you've seen and talking to those mothers and seeing those kids. But it also led you to advocating and being involved with orphanages and schools and food aid and stuff. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I was pretty lucky, really, that I got to have different experiences while I was there, because most of my real work was done at night. I had the night shift usually, with the idea that we would sleep during the day, but of course we couldn't because we shared a big room with 40 other people and it was just hot. And so hot and noisy all the time. So I'd get a little bit of sleep, but use that time off in the day to go out to the community. And I had a particular orphanage that I used to visit up in the mountains all the time, which was a really great way for me to get an understanding of what was going on with the local community as well. But I became really close to one of the nuns up there. And whenever I could round up volunteers who were off their shifts, I'd take them up there with me and we'd go and do things in the orphanage. But I've kept in contact with her sister, Lourdes, her name is, and I've caught up with her a lot of times since then as I go back over to the country as a civilian. So I was very lucky that I had that chance to get out into the community and see what it was really like, because I really felt for a lot of our guys who were out on the borders, with the real military clashes with the militia. because they didn't actually get to experience that sort of feeling of being part of the local community as much. They were busy doing the real deal, you know, and making it all come to an end and bring peace to that country, where I was in a position where I had the luxury of doing my job, providing the information required so that those guys on the border could do their job.
Could do what they need to do.
I still had that chance to get to know people and really, well, I lost my heart to the country, I think. Then.
Yeah. So you actually, because of your commitment and engagement, you founded and chair a charity. Would you like to speak on that a little bit?
Yes, because I can't really take credit for that. That was an accident that happened.
I hate when that happens. They just made me the chair of this committee.
Yeah, it started. I live in a really beautiful part of Sydney on the Northern Beaches in Avalon. And our community here is very connected to our military history and very supportive of veterans. And we are very, very lucky here that the civilians in our community really want to get behind veterans and understand what we've been going through. So we have Anzac Day every year. I think you may have heard about it in the US. It's our day of commemoration for, it was our first big deal, basically, in World War One. And so the 25th of April every year, we have a march and a service. And I do a lot of speaking in the primary schools or in the high schools around here around that time to sort of talk to them about my experiences in the military, what Anzac Day means to me. And I do try and focus on peacekeeping and that the military is here to make the world a safer place. And we're not all warmongers and that type of thing. So I was talking to some primary school children at a little tiny Catholic school in Avalon, Maria Regina, and I was telling them that's why I joined the military, to bring peace to the world and protect people, make sure it's safe for children to go to school. And they said, where did you do this? And when I said East Timor, or Timor Leste as it's now called, nobody had heard of it, and the kids were really keen to find out more about it. So we got into a huge conversation about what life is like for Timorese children so close to us and how privileged we are here on the Northern Beaches. And these kids were amazing. They just said, we want to do something to help those children.
Oh, that's so nice.
The principal, I know, it was amazing, really young kids. And the principal said to me, come back and talk to the whole school about East Timor and what it's like there for children. And so I did that. And this group of school kids, primary school kids, really wanted to do something to make a difference. And there were some amazing teachers at the school who helped them do that. So they asked me to help them set up a sister school relationship with a school over in East Timor. And that then grew. It was amazing. So our local government then heard about it and wanted to form a partnership with the local government in Timor as well, like a sister city relationship. So before long, I was organising this, and I remember saying to the Timorese Consul General at the time, I got him to come and speak at the school, and he said to me, Tamara, you can do more than just link up a couple of schools. You could link up the whole community. And at that stage, I had my fourth baby hanging off me in a pouch. And I just said to him, look, I'm really, really
I
busy.
really got my hands full here.
I don't think I have time to do that. And then somehow 10 minutes later, I said, yeah, that's a great idea. And before I knew it, we organised for our local Catholic parish and the council to go over there, and we signed an agreement with the village of Sobata. And since then, we've had all kinds of community groups link up. And that's why we ended up having to become a registered charity about 10 years ago, because it was unplanned and the interest was so great. The desire to help people in our local community was so amazing. So we've had our surf clubs, or we've got lots of schools involved now. There's about eight schools here involved, linking up with all the schools in the village, and they do things like they'll raise funds here that will help with education over there. So it's very much, the projects we do in the village are not handouts. We will provide funds for wages for local builders to do the construction. So we don't go over to the village and say, here's a bunch of Australian tradesmen who have no idea what it's like living in the jungle, but we're here to build you something. We would provide the training and the funding and then the jobs for the locals. So it becomes self-sustainable eventually.
So
It's a
all
lot
because
slower.
you reached out from one little
Yeah.
idea you had. You're a force to be reckoned with.
No, but it wasn't my idea, Kat. It wasn't my idea. It was
I know, but it
this
came from your heart.
woman's
And you
idea.
see what happens when it comes from your heart? It just expands. It moves out. And because of this, you've been asked to speak quite a bit on social justice, correct?
Yes, yeah. I ended up becoming the social justice director for the local Catholic parish, and did a lot of social justice work in the school. And I'm still doing that type of thing. I'm in a social justice group for the Northern Beaches. And I love the fact that that brings together people from all different walks of life who are interested in what's going on beyond our little bubble and want to do something to help other people. And it doesn't matter what religion you are. It doesn't matter about your politics, all about doing good in the world. And I ended up joining Rotary as well, because that's a very similar sort of thing. Everyone who comes to Rotary wants to make a difference for someone else. And it's just an amazing group of people to be with. And so out of that one talk at school, I've met all these amazing people and been drawn into other organisations that serve other people. So for me, it's a little bit like being back in the military.
Yeah.
It's all about service and doing something to make the world a better place. Those little children that came up with this initial idea, they're all grown up now and mostly at university and been over to the village with me. And it's just amazing to think these were kids who wanted just to help some other kids.
Yeah.
And they started this whole project, and it's incredible. It really is.
It's an amazing endeavor. I mean, it's just to see it grow, is
it's a bit scary sometimes, because I feel really,
of course it is. You're
I just
getting
want to
pushed
raise
out of
more
your
money and
yeah, you're getting pushed out of your comfort zone a little bit. But look what happened when you did. You also were honored with the award of Pittwater Woman of the Year. You want to tell us about that?
That's just a local award.
It's just an award. It was just, just.
It was a really nice acknowledgement to receive, and it did help the growth of the charity, because it provided that extra bit of publicity and everything. And people started asking about, why did you get this and what was it for? So the more the word got out. So it was a really useful tool for me. I found it really hard at first, because that was right at the beginning, and I didn't want any accolades. I didn't want to be in the public eye, and I really hated public speaking. With that happening, I was kind of forced into that role, and I was really anxious, but it made me see that 20 minutes of being uncomfortable in front of an audience for me could mean like a whole village of kids could have school books. So I just put it into perspective. So that award did really change the way the charity progressed, to be acknowledged for that. But it's not just me, it's a whole team of people now. It's a whole group of volunteers.
Yeah.
So really the award should be for the whole group. Yeah.
But you also got the Rotary International Service Award for contributing to international peace and goodwill. So you are, in my terms, an international superstar. So tell us about that. Go ahead, toot your horn, girl. Toot your horn.
That was a surprise too, because back then I didn't actually know what Rotary did. I thought it was just some sort of men's group, and that's how I ended up joining Rotary, because I got this award and went along to a Rotary club and met all these amazing people who'd also got awards, and heard about what they were doing all over the world. I mean, there were people from the mercy ships, the surgery ships that go around Africa, and it was so inspiring. And to get caught up in a place where everybody's doing something wonderful. Yeah, I didn't feel deserving of that either, but it was opening a door to a whole new network for me. Yes, that's how I ended up joining Rotary after that. And that's been a blessing. I've managed to meet a lot of wonderful people, but also draw in my friends into that group. So it gives us something bigger than ourselves to be thinking about a lot of the time, especially during COVID, when we couldn't do much. There's still ways we can contribute to the rest of the world, from the kitchen table even.
Absolutely.
Yes. Yeah.
So what do you hope to accomplish in the next 1 to 2 years? What's your goal? What is your dream? What are you looking to do?
Of course, I want to raise a lot of money to finish a few projects that we're working on in the village. We've got a training centre that's halfway through construction, and it's very much reliant on us here in Australia doing the fundraising so we can pay the wages and buy the materials.
Right.
So those guys have kept building in the village all this time, but every time I have run out of money, it stops. So
yeah.
And because we couldn't hold events or anything, it's been quite difficult. So I just need to get that finished within the next year. We've also funded the construction of a hospitality and training centre at the local high school in the village, and that's almost finished. So we really need to bring that project to an end so that people can start using it. Then, of course, there's dozens of other projects waiting in the wind, but I think because of social media, it's made it easier for me to form relationships with people in the village community, even though they don't have running water in the village.
Right.
That most of them just live in sort of bamboo structures, or it's very primitive. They only got electricity about 4 years ago. They live a really basic lifestyle. But because of technology, I can talk to them every day. That relationship building is quite amazing because we can see how they want us to help. So they direct the projects that we're doing. We're not putting our opinion on
And
them.
that's huge. That's a huge
it's
part
really
of it.
great. I just feel inadequate sometimes because there is so much need and we can't do enough to satisfy every need that there is, and trying to explain to people that although we look like we live in luxury here, it's still tough because I'm too busy doing all of this volunteering. So I'm really lucky my family supports me in that.
Yes.
And they can see the difference
huge
it makes.
too.
Yeah. And they've got to sacrifice things for that. So I'm very lucky to be able to just give a lot more. And so to get that understanding across that, we're doing as much as we can and wish we could do more. And I really want to think of some way that I could raise enough money to finish buildings and get on to the next project, because you can see the impact that it has almost immediately, like empowering people with training and education. It's the best way to change their lives. I mean, the first trip we did to Timor as civilians, as volunteers, and we went up to Soibata and there were no toilets or anything like that. So we just assumed, we should do that first. And one of the teachers put me aside and said, oh, no, Mana Tamara, we really, really would like computers, because then we can educate the students, educate the children about why we need to have toilets and why. And so looking at it from their perspective was quite eye-opening. And it was great to have them lead us in that way, because we did make assumptions initially.
Yes.
And I have to be careful when I take volunteers, because it's a shock when you walk in there.
Oh, I bet.
Into the village and see that sort of poverty so close to Australia. That you do just feel compelled to fix it. And we can't do that. We have to do things the way that their local community wants us to.
So if I came to Sydney and I said your name, would they be like, I know her? Would they say
no? No. But if you came to Avalon and said that you knew the hat lady, they'd know that you were talking about.
Oh, her, yes. So if I come to, and you live in Avalon, correct?
Yeah, Avalon Beach. Yeah.
So if I come to Avalon Beach, what's the one or two things that I should see before I left?
Well, we do have a beautiful beach, and up all along the coast, Pittwater is an amazing part of Sydney. So that's pretty special, and you need to go out on a boat in Pittwater itself. It's just a really cool village. We're so lucky to live here. It is like it's got great cafes and a few bars and boutique shops, but the vibe is really very much community centred. We're lucky because we're probably 45 minutes drive from the city of Sydney, so it doesn't feel like we're certainly not living in the city, and it's got that beach culture. I don't know if in the States if you get the Australian program Home and Away on the TV. In the UK, it's really popular. Well, we live where it's filmed, so
oh wow. How nice is that?
Yeah. And it's a really beautiful part of Sydney. I think Baywatch filmed over here quite a few years ago.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I never watched it, but
no, I haven't actually watched either. And we didn't really want them here because it's so quiet. We didn't really want all the cameras and everything here. But we are lucky. It's a unique village and everyone's really friendly and caring. Well, it shows like the amount of people that got behind this project, or because these children came up with the idea of helping children just like themselves somewhere else. Yeah, it's quite incredible.
I think what you're doing is just amazing. I think that if we all had that same, willingness, to help out in such a way where you're helping someone help someone else. You know what I mean? Someone helped you and then you put your hand out and you help them and they reach out and help someone else. I think this would be such a better world, and it's happening in some places, but the more I hear about Australia, man, you guys are just doing some amazing things there, and I just need to go. I just need to get over my fear of every time I hear Australia, you guys have the biggest sharks. You have the most poisonous snakes. You have the biggest spiders, and I'm just like, oh crap, but you have koala bears. You know what I mean? Yeah. I'm like, oh, I got to go see the koala bears. I love animals, by the way.
Yeah.
Tamara, it was such a pleasure having you on. If someone wanted to reach out to you, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
Probably through my Facebook profile is the easiest way to get through. But I would love to connect with other veterans over in America. Yeah. And I'm really keen, once we can travel again, to take volunteers from all over the world to Sorbata and see how beautiful it is. And it'd be great to connect. And I do need lots of help. So if anyone feels a passion to learning more about East Timor and their history and how it can make a difference, that would be great.
Of course. So thank you so much for being a part of this. I'm so fascinated by this story and what you do and how you do it with 4 kids. It's like, wow. Okay.
It's not me. It's not me. This came from other people, really. I'm just the conduit in the middle that kind of brings everyone
together. Gets everything going. Yeah. So, Sisters in Service, thank you for listening today. And as always, please be safe, take care of each other, and until next time.